No statement. No confirmación. And precisely because of that silence, the explosion of speculation becomes unstoppable. Jungkook, the golden vocalist who has long been the definitive face of HYBE's global strategy, now seems to be walking the same path once taken by Taehyung, a path that is independent, personal, and full of risk. Is this a signal of a paradigm shift in the power dynamics behind the scenes of the K-pop industry? Or is it an unspoken form of rebellion against the system that raised them? Jungkook's decision to appear mysteriously in non-HYBE collaborative projects, without a single trace of promotion from his official label, is not just an ordinary career move. It is an unwritten statement, yet it resonates loudly. And the public recognizes it from a pattern that mirrors exactly what Taehyung did a year earlier. Back then, Taehyung began distancing himself from the agency's official communication lines, choosing more intimate projects and strengthening his solo image without full involvement from the central management structure. Now, Jungkook is repeating that pattern, but not as an imitator, rather as a confirmation that Taehyung's previously chosen path was not a deviation, but a form of resistance. The collaborative project with DJ Snake, which until now has not appeared on any of HYBE's official channels, is a loud alarm to anyone monitoring the power map within the agency. The question now narrows. Why have two members with the greatest global appeal chosen the same path, one that actually leads away from the parent company? Is something happening behind HYBE's silence? Is that silence a form of agreement, or simply powerlessness? What's interesting is that Jungkook's move comes not long after Taehyung's long silence, which also sparked controversy. When Taehyung was absent from several official activities, many assumed he was taking a break. But over time, experimental projects began to emerge, most of which lacked promotion from the label. That decision was once seen as an anomaly, but now appears to be a new blueprint quietly followed by his own groupmate. Even further, Jungkook seems not only to be following in Taehyung's footsteps, but also expanding them. Unannounced international collaborations, visual cues suggesting personal creative involvement, and the removal of official branding all point to an effort to build an autonomous artistic identity. So where does HYBE stand in all this? The fact that they have yet to take a stance or even slip in a single form of acknowledgement regarding Jungkook's move raises big questions. Are they deliberately silent? Or is this move too fast and too independent, to the point that even they are unprepared to handle it? Many Korean pop culture observers are beginning to realize that internal cracks may be forming within HYBE's power structure, especially when the two most influential members, both musically and visually, start building their own artistic networks outside the direct control of the company. Where fans once saw this pattern as a form of creative exploration, many are now starting to ask, is this a form of silent resistance? These facts do not stand alone. When Jungkook privately attended several international events, without open company accompaniment, fans began comparing it to patterns once undertaken by Taehyung. Both seem to be building their own artistic narratives, without the heavy support of the system that once served as their main shield. However, this doesn't mean the move is without risk. In an industry still highly centralized and reliant on image control, the decision to detach from the official company narrative is no trivial matter. This is not just artistic expression, it's a shift in the balance of power. Even more interesting, HYBE's silence creates a space for speculation that strengthens public opinion that something is being hidden. As if the company does not want to reinforce the silent rebellion narrative by touching it officially. Yet, in their absence, Jungkook's voice becomes even louder. Just like Taehyung before, their silence is a stage for him to speak more freely. Now the question is left to the public. Does this move show that artists like Jungkook and Taehyung have reached a point where they can, and must, take control of their own career direction? Or is this just an illusion of freedom crafted to look bold, but still part of a larger strategy we do not yet understand? Whatever the answer, one thing has become clear. Jungkook is now walking a path once called risky when taken by Taehyung. But this time, the world sees it not as a deviation, but as a transformation. And in the company's silence, the audience begins to ask, could this be the beginning of a bigger revolution? Is this a natural step of an artist in search of his authentic voice, or a signal that the system is being abandoned by those it once protected most? With all the tension in the air, we can only wait and observe. But one thing is undeniable. When the two most influential figures choose the silent path, sometimes the loudest voice is the one not spoken. Now, the public must ask itself, do you believe all this is real and organic? Or do you see shadows of a more complex hidden strategy? Is this an emancipation of the artist from the system, or just another form of extreme marketing narrative? That question remains open because in the end, those who hold control are not always the ones who speak the most. Yet behind all the euphoria and overflowing speculation, there is one fundamental question that should not be overlooked. Are we truly witnessing reality, or just drawn into a narrative shaped by media swirl and collective perception? It must be emphasized that most of the information circulating through TikTok, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, and fan community platforms comes from visual fragments, ambiguous posts, and chains of assumptions that are quickly made viral. Not a single explicit confirmation validates that Jungkook's move was truly intended to follow in Taehyung's footsteps in the context of system resistance. But why is this narrative so quickly believed by the public? Is it because the public wants that kind of narrative? Or because we've been trained to read every idol's action as part of a bigger drama, a drama that may not exist, but we still seek? When Jungkook appears to no longer involve his label in his movements, when his collaboration with DJ Snake gets no spotlight from official channels, when mysterious visuals begin appearing consistently on fanbase accounts, the question is no longer what happened. But why do we want to believe this is an act of rebellion? Is it possible that we, as the audience, subconsciously help shape this narrative to fulfill a collective expectation of a great separation between artist and agency? Of course, the possibility of structural tension remains valid. But shouldn't we ask, could all of this be an illusion game, a perception game deliberately or unintentionally used by various parties to steer public opinion? And if so, who benefits from this confusion? Is this just about evolving artistic creativity? Or is it a signal that South Korea's artist management system, especially in the K-pop industry, is facing a deeper authority crisis? If you're among the millions who feel they sense a significant shift in Jungkook's behavior or in the way he crafts his work, ask yourself, is that perception born from verified facts? Or is it formed by a mix of viral videos, clipped captions, and assumptions built by social media algorithms? This is the essence of the disinformation era. Truth is no longer defined by objective data, but by the number of impressions and engagement. In this situation, every agency pause, every absence in the official schedule, and every unbranded collaboration becomes fuel for a bigger theory, a theory that may not be accurate. As a smart audience, it is only right that we question everything. Why is HYBE still silent? Is it because they are planning something bigger? Or because they know letting the public speculate is more beneficial than offering a clarification that could kill the enthusiasm? And beyond that, we must also critique the media presenting this information, including this article itself. Are we, as information providers, helping to reinforce speculation that may not be valid? Or are we opening a space for you to evaluate, think, and build your own conclusions? Remember, not all that looks like silent rebellion is truly defiance. Not all projects unannounced by the agency mean there is a rift. It could simply be a new form of marketing strategy, one that's subtler and more manipulative than conventional promotion methods. And if that's true, are we, as viewers, being unknowingly used as tools of propaganda? Furthermore, let's reflect. Why is the narrative Jungkook follows Taehyung so easily believed and celebrated? Is it because we see Taehyung as a symbol of artistic freedom against corporate dominance? And do we now want Jungkook to be a similar symbol to create a new axis in the global K-pop discourse? These questions cannot be answered quickly, let alone with certainty. But that's exactly why it's important for us to stay distant from euphoria and weigh information with healthy skepticism. In the era of instant information, doubt is a form of intellect. So, we ask you, the readers, are you sure Jungkook is truly freeing himself from the system that nurtured him? Or is he playing a role masterfully written by unseen forces? Is this move an act of artistic independence? or just part of an illusion crafted to create dramatic effect in the eyes of the public? Truth, in situations like this, is never simple. And the only way to approach it is by continuing to ask, to challenge, and to never stop analyzing.